Hello students, good morning all of you. Once again, a warm welcome to the mobile computing online class. Today, I have to discuss unit number 2, lecture number 4. That is class number 13. Up to now, we have completed 12 classes. In these 12 classes, first 9 classes belongs to unit number 1. From later on, class number 10, 11, 12, we are discussed about unit number 1, first 3 parts. Now we are entering to the class number 13, that is unit number 2, lecture number 4. So as the regular basis, before going to start this session, just we recall what we discussed in the previous session. In the previous session, that is lecture number 3, unit number 2, lecture number 3, we covered the topics mainly FDMA and TDMA, frequency division multiple axis and time division multiple axis. So here in the frequency division multiple axis, the frequency is divided into subdivided the frequency dimensions into several non-overlapping frequency bands. But coming to the TDMA, there the time slots is allocated for the each user. So here in the FDMA, multiple users have to transmit simultaneously on one satellite transponder by assigning a specific frequency within the channel to each user. But coming to the TDMA, there only there is possibility of one user has to be access at a time. The time period is plays the major role in the TDMA, but here the frequency plays the major role in FDMA. So here in the FDMA, this is the diagram for FDMA example, how the uplink and downlink from mobile station to the base station. So what is the channel range? For uplink for the mobile station, 890.2 MHz to 915 MHz. For downlink, 935.2 MHz to 960 MHz. So here the uplink of mobile station is the downlink for the base station, and as well as downlink of the mobile station is the uplink for the base station. So here it places vice versa. Okay, uplink for the mobile station is the downlink for the base station, and downlink for the mobile station is the uplink for the base station. This is the range of uplink and downlink. So how the uplink 890 plus and 0.2 MHz, and coming to the downlink plus 45 MHz. Uplink plus 45 MHz is the downlink. So each channel has a bandwidth of 200 kHz. Coming to the TDMA, it is a more flexible multiplexing scheme for a typical mobile communications. So here, compared to the FDMA, it is more flexible scheme which comprises all technologies that allocate certain time slots for communication. So the diagram for TDMA. There in the TDMA, the fixed TDMA, there is a time slots. So these are the slots allocating for uplink and downlink. So specific slots are allocated. Same downlink for the mobile station is the uplink for base station. Uplink for the mobile station is the downlink for the base station. So the above figure. So if you observe this figure, so time slots. So assigning difficult slots for uplink and downlink using the same frequency. It is called time division duplex TDD. There in FDMA, that is FDD. So as we shown in the figure here, the base station uses 1 out of 12 slots for the downlink, 1 out of 12 slots for the downlink, whereas the mobile station uses 1 out of the 12 different slots for the uplink. Uses 1 slot for uplink using slot for downlink among these slots. So up to 12 different mobile stations can use the same frequency without interference using this scheme. So up to 12 different mobile stations can use the same frequency without interference using this scheme. Each connection is allotted its own up and downlink pair. So this general scheme still wastes a lot of bandwidth. So that's what we discussed in the past class. So these DDMA waste a lot of bandwidth here. It is too static, too inflexible for data communication, and in this case, connectionless demand-oriented TDMA schemes can be used. So now here in the lecture number 4, which is related to the TDMA, time division multiple access, some of the techniques what are used in the TDMA, how the time slots are allocated, that what we have to be discussed here in the lecture number 4. So in that, the first one is classical Aloha. I think you guys have completed this topic there in networks concept. In this scheme, TDM is applied without controlling medium access. Without controlling medium access. Here, each station can access the medium at any time as shown below. So if you have to observe the diagram, so these are the three senders: sender A, sender B, and sender C. So these are the time period. Sender A sends the data in this way: 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 data packets sent by sender A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 data packets sent by sender B, and these 3 data packets are sent by the sender C. But what happened here is each station can access the medium at any time. So in this scheme, TDM is applied without controlling medium access. So the collision is applied. There is a possibility of collision. Why? Because multiple senders sends the data at the same time. Automatically, there a collision will be occurred. If you observe this diagram, so the collision will be occurred. Okay. Right. So this is a random access scheme without a central arbiter controlling access and without coordination among the stations. So if 2 or more stations access the medium at the same time, the collision occurred. That's what we discussed here in the diagram. So at a time, if multiple senders sends the data packet, automatically a collision will be occurred. If 2 or more stations access the medium at the same time, a collision occurs and the transmitted data is destroyed. So that is done in the classical Aloha. So the another name for this classical Aloha is pure Aloha. Either pure Aloha or classical Aloha, both are same. So 2 or more stations access the medium at the same time, a collision occurs and the transmitted data is destroyed. So resolving the problem is left to higher layers. So resolving this problem is left to higher layers. Example, retransmission of data. So if the data is collide automatically, you have to retransmit again, you have to resend the data. So for that purpose, the simple Aloha works fine for a light load and does not require any complicated access mechanisms. In this way, if the collision is occurred, automatically it destroys the data. So if data is destroyed automatically, you have again and again you have to transmit the data. So the mobile station has to transmit the data again and again. That is a very big difficult task. For that purpose, here only the simple Aloha works fine for a very light load and does not require any complicated access mechanisms. Now, next one is the slotted Aloha. So I think you guys observe the problem there in the classical Aloha. So the main problem there in classical Aloha is at a time multiple senders accessing the path. They want the path to transmit the data packets. A collision will be occurred there in the classical Aloha. So to avoid this problem, so here implementing a technique called slotted Aloha. So here in the slotted Aloha, as the name suggests, slotted. So slotted means the time is allocated to some particular time is divided into the slots. The first refinement of the classical Aloha scheme is provided by the introduction of time slots. The first refinement. So there are so many problems are there in the classical Aloha. To avoid those problems, to overcome those problems, the first refinement taken is slotted Aloha. That is, in this case, all senders have to be synchronized. Transmission can only start at the beginning of a time slot. That means, so here the path is time is divided into slots. So when they have to be transmit the packets, just they have there is a possibility, just they have to send the packet at the starting of the time slot only. For example, if time is divided into 10 slots, from 10 to 5 the time is divided into 7 slots. There is only possibility when you have to transmit the packet, there is only transmit the data at the starting of the time slot. That is there is a possibility of 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. In this manner, there is only the possibility is it has to transmit the data at the starting of that particular time slot. If we observe this diagram, so data packet starts at the slotting at the time slot, another data packet starting of the time slot, another data packet starting of the time slot, again say coming to the B. So every packet starts at the starting of the time slot, coming to the C. So this is the one of the refinement taken to overcome the drawbacks of pure Aloha. So there in pure Aloha or classical Aloha, so if you observe this diagram, so packet A starts here, sorry, sender A, coming to the A1, A2, A3, A4. So A1, A2, A3, A4. When they starting the transmission, there is not exactly the time period. So it starts randomly. So B, coming to the B. So for example, if this is started here, coming to the slotted Aloha, this B4 has to start either in starting of this slot or starting of this slot. So randomly the data is sent in the classical Aloha. That is the disadvantage. So but here in the slotted Aloha, the data packet just starts just only the starting of time slot, beginning of time slot. But here also the a big problem, that is here also a collision will be occurred at a time. Multiple senders starts transmitting packets in the same time period. So for example, at the morning 10 a.m. Sender A and sender B simultaneously transmitting the packet, automatically a collision will be occurred. So the introduction of slots raises the throughput from 18% to 36%. So generally it increases the throughput. That is slotting doubles the throughput. So both the basic Aloha principles occurs in many systems that implemented distributed access to a medium. Both basic Aloha principles. Both means here the classical Aloha and as well as slotted Aloha principles occurs in many systems that implements distributed access to a medium. So the Aloha systems works perfectly well under a light load, but they cannot give any hard transmission guarantees such as maximum delay before accessing the medium or minimum throughput. That is the drawbacks of these Aloha systems. These are using for the purpose of light load, light data transmission purpose only. We have to use Aloha systems such as maximum delay before accessing the medium or minimum throughput. So to overcome these problems of Aloha in the TDMA, there is another technique that is called carrier sense multiple access. Carrier sense multiple access CSMA is implemented. So what is CSMA? So one improvement to the basic Aloha. So one improvement for the basic Aloha is time slots. So in the basic Aloha, that is pure Aloha or classical Aloha, there is no time slots. So data is transmitted randomly. There is no exact time period for data transmission. One refinement is taken for that classical Aloha is slotted Aloha. So data has to be sent at the starting of the time slot only. That is the one refinement taken for classical Aloha. So here in the classical Aloha, there is no time slots. So data packet has sent at any time. But here in the slotted Aloha, the packet has to send at the starting of the time slot only. So whatever it may be, whenever it is, so it has to transmit just at the starting of time slot only. That is one refinement taken when compared to the classical Aloha. So in classical Aloha, packet is transmitted randomly. There is no certain time period, there is no certain time slot. So to overcome this, one refinement is taken in the sorted Aloha, that is time is divided into the slots, just exactly the starting of the time slot. There is a possibility of data transmission, but here also collision will be occurred. So to overcome this, the next one is carrier sense multiple access. So here the sensing the carrier and accessing the medium only if the carrier is idle decreases the probability of a collision. So there in the classical Aloha and slotted Aloha, randomly multiple senders transmitting the data packets. So there is a possibility of high collision in the classical Aloha. That is reduced a bit lesser in the slotted Aloha, but there also collision will be occurred. Why? Because multiple data packets has to be transmitted by multiple senders at a time. So here the collision will be occurred. So for example, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So at the time of 2, so sender A sends packet, sender B sends another packet, sender C sends another packet. Here only the medium is, already we discussed there in the earlier lecture. So in the time period, so total bandwidth is utilized by one particular user. So there is a possibility of total bandwidth is used by one data transmission user. So here in the CSMA, sensing the carrier and accessing the medium only if the carrier is ideal. That means if the path is ideal, then only you can transmit the data, then it decreases the probability of a collision. So at a time, if either A or B or C sends the data packet, then it reduces the collision. If you observe this, here in this particular time period, B sends the data. So if C sends the medium, if the medium is busy, if C waits for some time, automatically collision is not occurred there. So if you observe this, so sender A already takes initiation, already packet is moving. So sender C sends another data packet that is collide in this particular time slot. Okay, to overcome this, so sensing the carrier and accessing the medium only if the carrier is ideal, it decreases the probability of a collision. So the reduction is reduced. Collision is reduced. So sense before transmit. If the medium is ideal, then only starts transmitting the data packet. But as already mentioned in the introduction, hidden terminals cannot be detected. So here there we discussed in the hidden and exposed terminal and problems there in the why we preferred for specialized max. So there is a problems of hidden terminals, exposed terminals, hidden fault terminals problems we already discussed in the lecture number 2. So what happened there in hidden terminals? So A cannot detect by C, C cannot detect A, but B is available to both A and C. That example we discussed there in the hidden terminals. So in hidden terminal problem, A is available to B, B is available to A. B is available to C, C is available to B, but A is not available to C, C is not available to A. So A is the hidden terminal to C, C is the hidden terminal to the A. So as already we mentioned there in the hidden terminal problem, one terminal cannot detect the another terminal, so that the terminal is the hidden terminal. So here in the hidden terminal transmits at the same time. So it doesn't know if the path is empty or busy. At the time of sensing, path is empty. So it transmits the data. But whenever the data reaches, automatically collision will be occurred. For that purpose, it transmits at the same time as another sender. A collision might occur at the receiver. So to overcome this, the basic scheme is still used in most wireless LANs for the different versions of CSMA are these are the three different versions of CSMA. Carrier sense multiple access. That means sense before transmit. If the medium is ideal, then possibility of collision is reduced. So there is no possibility of collision. So before transmitting the data packet, sense the medium is the one best way that will be done here in the CSMA, carrier sense multiple access. Coming to the carrier sense multiple access, there are the three different versions are there. One is high persistent CSMA. Second one is non-persistent CSMA, and third one is P-persistent CSMA. One array, one persistent CSMA, non-persistent CSMA, P-persistent CSMA. Simply I, N, and P-persistent CSMA. I persistent CSMA, non-persistent CSMA, that is N persistent CSMA, and third one is P-persistent CSMA. The basic principle for all these versions is sensing. So sensing the medium before transmitting the packet, data packet. So what happened there in a high persistent CSMA? Here in the high persistent CSMA, station sense the channel and listens if it is busy and transmit immediately. Station sense the channel and listens if it's busy and transmits immediately. When the channel becomes idle, it's called high persistent CSMA because the host transmits with a probability of I whenever it finds the channel idle. So it sends the medium. If the medium is idle, it immediately transmitting the data packets. It immediately sends the data. Here the data, maybe either a voice data or a textual or a multimedia, whatever it may be. So the data packet, simply we call it as data packet. So what happened there in high persistence, I means ideal persistence. So here the sender sends the medium. If he feels if the medium is ideal, that is medium is empty, then it immediately transmits it immediately sends the data packet that is called high persistent CSMA. So what happened there in high persistent CSMA is high persistent CSMA immediately transmits the data packet whenever the path is idle. Next, non-persistent CSMA. Here in the non-persistent CSMA, station sends the carrier and starts sending immediately. If the medium is idle, if the medium is busy, the station passes a random amount of time before sensing the medium again and repeating this pattern. So if it sends, if the medium is busy, the station passes a random amount of time before sensing the medium again and repeating this pattern. So whenever the medium is busy, it's wait for some time and then transmitting the packets. So there in high persistent, it listen busy and transmits immediately. The channel is busy, it sends immediately. But coming to the non-persistent, it waits for some time and then transmits the data packet. So that is the difference between high and non-persistent. Coming to the P-persistent CSMA, system nodes also sense the medium but only transmit with a probability of P. Probability of P, with the station differing to the next slot with the probability. So that is IP. That is access is slotted in addition. So it also sends the medium, wait for some time, again sends, then if the medium is empty, then it transmits the data packets. So that is the difference between I and N and P persistence. In I persistent, it feels if the path is empty, it immediately transmits the data packets. Coming to the N persistent, it sends the medium and wait for some time, then transmits the data packet. Coming to the P persistent, it waits for some time and sends the medium, and again since after some time, then only if the medium is empty, it transmits the data packets. So that is the difference between I persistence, N persistent, and P persistent CSMA in TDMA, time division multiple access. So here in the CSMA with collision avoidance. So already we discussed about the CSMA CD, which is used for the wide communication in the MAC that we discussed in the earlier part, that is in the lecture number 1 and lecture number 2, we discussed about the CSMA CD. So CSMA CD collision detection. Collision detection is very much useful in the wide communication. Collision detection is very much useful in the wide communication, but coming to the wireless communication, collision detection is not possible. Why? Because it uses the air or vacuum as a medium. In the wide communication, it uses wire or fiber optic cables. Those are the mediums. So it sends the medium. If the medium is ideal, so automatically it sends the radio frequency as well as to identifying collision, it's sending some signals. That is possible in the wide communication, but it is not possible in the wireless communication. For that purpose, CSMA CD we are not preferred in the wireless. So what we have to be preferred in the wireless is CSMA CA. CSMA CA with collision avoidance. Carrier sense multiple access with collision avoidance is one of the access schemes used in the wireless LANs following the standards of IEEE 802.11. So the main agenda of carrier sense multiple access is sense before transmit. If the medium is ideal, then transmitting the data packet, it avoids the collision. So there three classifications are there: I persistence, N persistent, and P persistent. So there is a slight difference, huge difference between CSMA CD and CSMA CA. CSMA CD is the collision detection, CSMA CA is the collision avoidance. So collision detection is possible in the wide communication, but it is not possible in the wireless communication. But collision avoidance is the main scheme which is used in the wireless LANs following the standard IEEE 802.11. So here sensing the carrier is combined with a back-off scheme in case of a busy medium to achieve some fairness among competing stations. So if you observe this diagram, one persistent CSM, ideal, packet, transmits, and busy, no, transmitted, S, waits for some time, and that ends. If collision occurs, no, it will be ideal, S, random delay. Coming to the P persistent, so there's a two names for I or one persistent. Anything we have to use. Coming to the P persistent CSMA, so first the medium is ideal, then packet is transmitted. If it is busy, so there is no busy, randomly it transmitted. There is a busy channel, waits until for next slot. So X less than P, if it is S, moves to transmit. No, waits until next slot. So it is busy. So S, random delay. No, it waits. So collision occurs. No, it will be ideal. S, random delay. It again moves to wait for the next slot. So that is the difference between I persistence and P persistent. Okay. These are the techniques using CSMA, high persistent, non-persistent, and P-persistent CSMA carrier sense multiple access, which are used to reduce the problems in Aloha scheme. So generally what happened there in classical Aloha, data packets are transmitted randomly without a time period. So it causes a collision. To avoid this, the first refinement taken for the classical Aloha is slotted Aloha. Their time is divided into number of slots. There is only possibility for transmitting data packet. Data packet has to send just only starting of the time period only, just starting of the time slot only. So there also a bit of collision will be occurred because multiple senders using same transmission media. So to overcome this, they implemented a technique called carrier sense multiple access. So here in the carrier sense multiple access, the main agenda is sense before transmit. It is classified into three categories: high persistent CSMA, non-persistent CSMA, and P-persistent CSMA. And next one, demand assigned multiple access. Demand assigned multiple access. So if your channel efficiency for Aloha is 18% and for slotted Aloha is 36%. So channel efficiency for classical Aloha is 18% and for slotted Aloha is 36%. It can be increased to 80% by implementing a reservation mechanism and combination with some fixed TDM patterns. So if you have to be allocating reservations like polling, token passing, or whatever it may be, some reservation slots will be allocated to every user. So you just only use the path in that particular time period only. That is called reservation. Then it increases 80% if you have to be implement the reservation technique for the data packet transmission. These schemes typically have a reservation period followed by a transmission period. During the reservation period, stations can reserve future slots in the transmission period. So while depending on the scheme, collisions may occur during the reservation period. The transmission period can then be accessed without collision. So on basis scheme in demand assigned multiple access, DAMA, demand assigned multiple access, also called reservation Aloha. So in this we discussed about pure Aloha or classical Aloha. Second one is slotted Aloha. Next one is CSMA, carrier sense multiple access, and next one is DAMA or reservation Aloha. Here in the reservation Aloha, some certain time slots are allocated for the senders. So sender A has allocated some amount of time period, sender B has allocated some amount of time period, sender C has allocated some amount of time period. They have to be transmit the data packets in that particular time period only. It increases the efficiency rate to 80%. So classical Aloha has just only 18%, slotted Aloha 36%, but the reservation Aloha has the 80% rate. That means efficiency means how much amount of it reduces the collision. That is the efficiency rate. How we calculate the efficiency means here only just only possibility of 20% collision. Here only possibility of 64% collision. Here the possibility of collision is 72%. Sorry, 82%. So it increases the amount of users in a pool of satellite channels that are available for use by any station in a network. So it increases the amount of users in a pool of satellite channels that are available for use by any station in a network. There is a possibility. So any number of station has to utilize this reservation Aloha. It is assumed that not all users will need simultaneous access to the same communication channels, so that a call can be established. The reservation Aloha assigns a pair of available channels based on the request issued from a user. So once the call is completed, the channels are returned to the pool from and assigned to another call. So once a call is allocated, so the reservation uses that particular channel. Once the call is completed, so it will be assigned to some other channel, since the resources of the satellite are being used only in proportion to the occupied channels for the time in which they are being held. It is a perfect environment for voice traffic and data traffic in a batch mode. So it has two modes are shown below. This is the Aloha, this one is reserved. So some particular time slots are allocated for the users. So during a contention phase following the slotted Aloha scheme, all stations can try to reserve future slots. So the collision during the reservation phase do not destroy data transmission, but only the short request for data transmission. So if successful, a time slot in the future is reserved and no other station is allowed. So just remind this, no other station is allowed because it is the reserved slot. For example, if you guys are if you guys wants to travel in a train or travel in a bus or you want to travel in a flight, first you reserve one particular seat. So no other person has no access to use that particular seat if you are there or not, because that particular seat is allocated to you if you have if you are reserved that particular seat. So likewise here, if the time slot is allocated for the channel, only that particular channel has to transmit the data. There is no possibility of other channels to use that channel. So therefore, the satellite collects all successful requests and sends back a reservation list indicating access right for future slots. So all ground stations have to obey this list to maintain the fixed TDM pattern of reservation and transmission. The stations have to be synchronized from time to time. So the BAMA, that is Reservation Aloha, is an explicit reservation scheme. Each transmission slot has to be reserved explicitly. So this is about Reservation Aloha. So here in this lecture, we discussed about classical Aloha. So the random data transmission. To avoid this, one refinement is implemented that is called slotted Aloha. So time is divided into slots. Each sender has to transmit data packet at the starting of time period only. For example, if you consider this is 9 a.m. So sender A sends data packet at 9 a.m. Sender B data packet is ready for 9:10 a.m. But sender B waits for 10 a.m. to transmit the data packet. So sender A transmits the data packet at 9 a.m. Sender B's data packet is ready for 9:15 or 9:10 a.m. But sender B waits until the next time slot, until the beginning of next time slot to transmit the data packet. That is implemented in the slotted Aloha. So there a bit of collision is occurred. To avoid this, so this CSMA technique is used for wireless communication or mobile communication mediums. So it is classified into three categories, and finally demand assigned multiple access. Depending upon demand, we are assigning the slots. That is a reservation Aloha. So this is the reservation Aloha. Certain time period is allocated for the time slot is allocated for the user, that is sender A or B or C. They have to transmit that packet in that particular time period only. Likewise, how we are reserved seats in the buses, trains, and flights, like that. Okay. This is the lecture number 4 in unit number